This is the meeting of the East Hampton Affordable Housing Trust. This meeting will be video recorded and broadcast over local access channel 8 and through the town website at www.10-ma.gov. And I declare that we do have a quorum. We have 3 out of 5 members present. So with that, the first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the June meeting. You have those?
I have the copy right here and the electronic copy.
Right.
And with some corrections on just Hillary's name, spelled.
Or some.
Oh,
Okay. So, is this the revised one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, just the spelling of her name.
Okay, that's it. So that's it. Motion to approve.
so moved.
Okay,
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. 3-0. All right. Rachel has provided us with the financials. We should take the look at it. Rachel, would you use?
Yeah, sure. So basically, what you have in there for the trust account is 1.9 to 551, and there's some of that is reserved. 372,268 is reserved for current programs, and then there is over $1 million in the blue, in the box down in the blue. The breakdown of the fund balance shows what's encumbered left for the rental assistance program and the health program in the yellow, and then in the blue, CPA unreserved and committed. That's what's in that amount, 1,130,414, and non-CPA under that, that's uncommitted, which came from when the rents were being tracked in this account from the units. That's what was left. It's 399,869. So, and then
That's money that we paid as.
there was still rental income.
Rental.
Yeah. Yes.
Unspent.
Yes, from when the CDP was giving rent money back to the trust. So, and that includes their final reimbursement.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I have a couple questions. I just for my own clarity.
Yes.
These unreserved CPA funds are I guess under the rules of the CPA, meaning that there's certain
Yes.
things they can be used for and certain not. Now, as I recall, there's 5 categories you can.
Yes.
4 categories. Do I remember right that we are essentially one of those categories?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about the other categories, but this is
This is specific.
what is that category called? It's not a
Housing.
It is housing. Okay.
Yeah.
Community housing. Okay, so under our mandate, that money's kind of available for most of the things that we might want to do.
Yes.
Because what we do is
within their qualifying.
right. So it has to be spent on housing. It's just mostly what we want to spend on anyway.
Correct.
Okay. Cool.
Correct.
Cool. I understand that.
Yeah.
See, when their definitions, because there are, it has to be, for example, we could not give somebody money to add to create a new doorway in the house, something simple like that. It has to really be for overall, like a repair program for major items that keep the house habitable and sustainable.
Okay.
As opposed to decorative or something like that.
With the bigger point being that CPA has a definition of community housing.
Yes.
And we can spend that money on things that meet that definition.
Yes. Up to 100% AMI.
Right. That's part of the definition, I guess. Yep.
And I just want to interrupt for just 1 minute because I want to acknowledge, Devin, we have somebody in the waiting room. Devin?
We can probably do it too. I think you got it. And my second question, you were just talking about this other money, the $399. That's something historical. So when we did collect rents, and can I just
Yes.
have a little of that
Sure.
picture of what was the case and what is the case?
Yes, so the Community Development Partnership used to manage, the Affordable Housing Trust rental units. There's 7 of them. And they would send the rent money every year, what was left over from maintenance and their fees. And, annually. So that's what this is. And when the town,
And essentially, kind of, you could call that the profit, if you will.
yes.
Would
Yeah,
took in rents,
profit.
put out expenses here.
Right,
Uh-huh.
and that, yeah, so, and that was also the last check when, right after the, contract separated.
Yeah.
With them, they sent a final check and that incorporates that as well. So,
And so then today, how are those rents taken in and managed?
so the town is managing the properties at this point, and it's all incorporated into another fund that includes the town rentals as well. So that there's a bigger pot of money, should something come up, there's more to pull from.
Okay, so the housing trust is no longer
You're still,
taken in that.
They're tracked separate, the
Yeah.
7 properties that the trust owns versus the other properties that the town owns, they're tracked separately.
Okay,
So we can segregate out the income and expenses, right, each of those properties separately. So that excess income is profit, if you will,
Yeah.
but we can't have a profit.
no, I understand it's not profit in that sense, but the excess.
That accrues to the trust in the same way that this is, so that eventually it can be used for programming. And that money is unencumbered, unrestricted,
I understand.
unlike the CPMI. So we can use it for anything that falls within the purview of the trust.
Makes sense.
Okay,
And today, that money's not reflected in this balance sheet because today it's sitting in a town account?
yeah, it's a town account.
And every year or every whatever, they hand it over, or we go ask them for it, or how does that work?
Actually, we haven't had that come up, so
Okay,
I
that's
just
fair.
monitor it monthly. I mean, I'm sure I could put something together too, but it wouldn't include the town units.
Of course.
And which, again, the money's there should, one of the properties not be performing well enough to meet the expenses,
Right.
we just pulled from the.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just curious to understand, as we start to look at this balance sheet and get myself oriented,
Yeah,
what is the money? Where is the money? As we think of ideas for what to do,
absolutely.
how much is there? Where does it come from? So I understand.
balance sheet. Do we put a capital reserve, or is that so some of the town is?
That's, it's all in that one account for the rents, so no, this doesn't include a capital reserve, I mean, I suppose you could. If you wanted to identify part of the restricted funds as capital, but.
No, as long as there is a capital reserve, which the town isn't.
Yeah, it's all in one pot, it's not named capital reserve or anything, it's just rents in, expenses out, and that's what's in there.
So my question would be maybe to follow up with Rich. Where is the capital reserve for the town-owned property, for the trust-owned properties? Do we need to show a reserve, or is there a reserve on the town books?
Yeah, my understanding is it's all in that one account, and it's used for maintenance.
Yeah.
Whether it's capital or preventative. Yeah,
I just want to be sure.
but I will
Take a capital.
clarify.
Now that we've done the capital.
Yeah, so I mean, even the capital items would come out of that fund
Right,
where the rents are going. And that also includes the town rents.
right.
So like I said, if there's a big ticket item like a roof, it would come out of there whether the trust had the money or not.
Right, and I know you recently completed a capital assessment
Yes,
for all of the 7 properties, all of the properties, the 7 properties that we own. So is there a projection of what those capital needs are?
there was a projection. I can get that together to go over it at another meeting. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it's important to know where we're at. And one of the things that's on my list of things to do was we've had a lot of repairs done recently. We had a couple of changeovers. So, you know, I wanted to put a report together of what was done to turn those units over.
Okay.
So
That would be good.
I'll be
Maybe at the
working on
next
that.
meeting.
Yeah, I'll be working on that.
That would be good.
Yeah, it'd be worth understanding what's there in that segregated part of that account.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that flow?
And just we went to the, one of time and expense to do the property by property analysis and projection of what the major capitals are. It'd be good to see that.
Yeah, I'll check with the DPW, see if I can get an easy re-record or how we need to put that together.
And then asking Rich how that, if that's part of the 5-year capital plan for the town. I would assume that it probably is, but I don't remember seeing it broken out that way, so.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, sure. And then,
So, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
So when those repairs get enacted, if there's more stuff to do, does that come from this pot or from the town? Budget?
The town, the rents,
Okay.
yeah,
so
that's fine.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't come from here. I mean, if for some reason, something catastrophic happened and we needed to ask.
Transfer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but
so I think Rich made the decision to previous to when we had the CDP contract, all the financials for the rental properties and the rest of the trust financials were co-mingled. Okay, and I think what he's done is split out so that this, except for the non-restricted limit of fund balance, the P&L for this doesn't reflect the rental properties. That's now being tracked separately.
Yeah, that's
But I think we should see that. Sure. And as part of this financials, because we own those properties.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, so you can see how they're performing
Yes.
and what the
And
expenses
what the
are.
P&L looks like, yeah. Because we have fiduciary responsibility for that.
Right.
Because we own properties.
Right.
That would be good. I think it's good to separate the two, because when they were commingled, you know, the idea of, you know, the trust has certain requirements, limitations on what it can do based on its trust document and CPA funding, and so sometimes, because it's a fairly significant amount of money, it would sort of get ourselves a little confused as to what we could spend on and what we could. So having two separate related but separate sets of interests.
Yeah.
I think we should see.
Yeah,
What's a quarter that we should see?
Yeah, it's just, it's separate, it's, like you said, it's in the one account with the town rents. They each property, each unit's tracked separately, so I can extrapolate that.
Right, okay. Good. And then,
One more question.
Yes.
Sure should not be answered to. Are we mandated to spend any of this, every year? I mean, any portion of this, or is it?
Not that I'm
not?
aware of.
Okay, and it doesn't jeopardize our eligibility for more. I mean, we get the same share whether or not we spend the money.
I would say just the opposite, it actually, in a way, that the CPA recognizes that we have certain programs that we're ongoing spending money on,
Right.
like the RAP program and the housing health program. Now the least levels program, which actually is a good example. But anyway, we have certain programs, but we're sort of building on a reserve, because when we start to do new development, it's gonna take big dollars. And so they
So
want
they're
to
fine.
build us off
Yeah.
the reserve.
Got
They intentionally are doing that. It used to be that the way we did that, which is why we had this large reserve on our books, is that the CPA would transfer a certain amount of money every year out of their funds to the Affordable Housing Trust formally on our books. What they decided to do, I think, that this year and last year, maybe the year before, I'm distracted. But is to say, rather than do that, let's just leave it on the CPA books, but earmark it for community housing. So they're building up the reserve now, also on their, without having to go through the bookkeeping and transfer it to the trust.
Right.
There are pros and cons of both ways, but it is being reserve for the understanding that we're hopefully going to be having some very large projects that we want to support. And we're going to need those funds to do that.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I think for the next meeting, I'll ask what the balance is.
Yes.
I think that would be good.
Yes.
Thank you for anticipating my next question.
Right.
So
So,
getting used to each other.
so that money is being built up with CPA committee, on the CPA balance sheet,
Okay.
as reserved. And in fact, I don't remember what the specifics were when they, this past round of CPA funding, but there was a specific amount that specific percentage of the CPA available funds that was directed to community housing that was above and beyond the statutory requirements.
I believe it was, so they're required to put in 10% for each of the 4 categories. And I think it was an extra 30%.
Right,
Plus, if I remember correctly, we asked for 400,000.
right.
That's usually comes to the trust to go into that fund. So it was,
So it's building up pretty
Yeah.
significant. And hopefully someday we'll. In terms of income and for the month, let's see, with July. Income.
The year.
and expenses for the year, they're pretty minimal. We didn't get, we don't get income wise because we made that decision with the CPA, we don't have a lot of income, it's just investment income.
I mean, this is just 4% in a bank account,
Yeah.
is what I'm saying here, right?
yeah,
Okay.
And we also don't have a lot of expenses. Except for the ground assistance program and the housing emergency loan program, right? Right.
Yes.
Tiny little bit of consulting services, so. Year to date, last year, that was not very significant. But, any other questions?
Do we anticipate any big changes for this year to
No.
the expenses or income?
Well, the one change, when do we have to redo the housing production? When does it expire?
oh, so that does expire October 2026.
Yes,
So we, Paul and I were talking about that. So that would be a consultant
right.
expense.
So I was thinking that it expired next year.
That expiration is in next fiscal year, but we might start planning and paying for stuff in this year.
Well,
Sure.
probably. Timing would be that we would want to get the housing production plan approved and filed to the state, which is, let me back up. There are four major steps in that. One is us working with the consultant to do the analysis and rewrite the plan. Then a significant public comment period. Then approval and adoption by the select board. And then it goes to the state because it is a required regulatory document
Right.
at the state level. And then it goes to the state for their review and ultimate approval. And so it's a fairly lengthy process to go through all of that. And ideally, I think this is my opinion, I would think that we would want the approval one in time to replace the one that's expired in October.
You mean even the state approval in that timing?
No, not the state approval, the
Oh, okay.
select board.
Okay.
State approval takes a long time sometimes.
I wasn't
Yeah,
involved in the
I
last one, so.
many months.
Okay.
Once we file it, and the state never doesn't approve it because we always do a good job of doing it, and it includes the required components.
Right.
Et cetera. That's part of why we hired a consultant to do it. She's the same person who's done it the last 2 times. Does an outstanding job. But to have it approved and adopted by the select board so that it is available and used for the select board goal setting, which usually happens in September of that year. So in September of 26, if we could have the housing production plan approved by the select board, then it becomes part of their goal setting that influences the budget and plan, the work plan, and the warrant for the town in 2027
Right.
in town meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of a long lead time.
So like even this winter, we're started on.
So we will start this, yeah, at the, I would say the latest, probably February-ish,
Yeah.
because it takes a while, the data collection and the analysis, et cetera. And part of what makes ours a little bit unique, I think so, we can't say that, it's not good grammar, but makes ours a little bit different. A little bit different.
Is that a grammar problem or a lexical problem?
It's an old data problem. It is that the housing production plan is intended to address capital A, affordable housing.
Right.
That is housing that meets the SHI subsidized housing inventory definition. So it's for the low income, it's not workforce housing, it's low income housing. And for properties that will eventually become part of a subsidized housing inventory. That's why the state wants you to do this, is so that you have a plan for how you're going to go from where you are to 10%.
Yeah.
We're currently at 3.7%, so we need a good
Have a plan.
big plan. But what we've chosen to do the last few times is to say, that's good, we have to do that, we will do that. But housing is not just, that's just a small picture of the housing needs in our town. We need senior housing, we need housing facilities, we need workforce housing, all kinds of other housing that are critical. And so we construct our housing production plan to address all of that. So that it really is the town's community housing plan, if you will, as opposed to just the smaller version of the SHI directed plan.
Yeah.
The state judges us in the sense that they approve the plan because it will get us to meeting the very minimum of the SHI requirements. But so that's what they care about. But we as a town care about the bigger picture of
Sure.
all the different aspects of housing that are required and needed. So it's a little bit of a mix of how we use it. Okay. So we can maybe start to work on thinking about, this is already
Yes, like to timeline that.
the
Started in my
the
head.
timeline,
Yeah.
right? Because particularly doing the public meetings and outreach and, getting input and the strategic thinking, doing it in concert with, Rich and Jackie and Paul and representing things that are in the recently adopted town strategic plan. There's a lot of sort of pieces to it. And we want to be sure the consultant is available.
Right. Yes, we gotta make sure that's an important piece.
Right, it is.
And she had, we did an interim update where she updated the demographics. It was 2024.
Yes.
So the numbers, because I think the numbers in there were pre-COVID numbers or
They
during
were,
COVID numbers.
pre-COVID and pre-2020 census.
Mhm.
And so because it's a 5-year plan
Mhm.
and so the 5-year plan that currently is adopted, the official one that expires October of 26. The data that was. in
Would have gotten
it-
put together at just the wrong moment.
So a year and a half ago, we hired her to update all the data so that could be available for strategic planning, for the select board and community to know, because it's a very different picture. But we didn't change the guts of the plan, all the goals and objectives and tactics and so forth. We didn't change any of that. Because then we would have been getting off cycle with the state and it just was going to be too messy. So we
That makes sense.
updated it, but we didn't refile it and reapprove it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay, so we need to start to think about what that's going to look like and the schedule and see if Jen's.
Then that consultant expense to anticipate for a year, this is $10,000, that's $50,000.
No, it's, I
Okay.
would say around 7.
Fine.
Say,
Yeah.
although we may, because we're perhaps more emphasizing a holistic plan, a community housing plan as opposed to just the housing under the name of housing production plan. There may be more work that she ends up doing that isn't repetitive. One of the reasons why the expense isn't too big is because, first of all, the consultant.
We've used her before. She knows where to grab the data.
And so have many other tasks.
Yeah.
She's very experienced. She's very knowledgeable. She has a wealth of what's the word? Templates to.
She's efficient because
Yeah.
this isn't new.
Yeah, and she knows Eastham now.
Mhm.
She's learned. But if we ask her to step out of some of that, they're making, they just take extra time, so I'm saying, so.
Sure. Yeah, no, I was just looking for orientation.
Yeah.
Like 10,000, not like 50. That's all. Okay.
Yeah. And I can let you know when we get an estimate. from-
Sure, of course,
We'll have
of
to do
course.
the scope.
Well,
work and all that.
and that plus, the discussion about the capital reserves for the town, for the trust owned properties. I would think that we should develop a formal budget for this fiscal year for the trust. We have the last year's P and L that of the expenses, but I think we need to, at the next meeting, actually.
Yeah, it's not
adopt the
something I
budget.
could probably pull together by the next meeting.
You know,
Budgets for, no, but I'll talk to Rich and
Talk to
see.
Rich and see.
Yeah,
But I think we at some point, again, putting our fiduciary hat on. We should have an actual budget that says this is what we think we'll be spending.
yeah, and I think we have a better handle on it too now with where we've had a couple of years of property management under our belt with it.
Sure.
Right, and have an idea of what some of the bigger ticket items.
And with both components,
Yeah,
the non-property component and the property management component. I think it sort of needs to go.
The non-property component, you mean like the
This.
programs, the
The
things?
programs,
Yes, I'm with you.
And any other miscellaneous expenses, expenses for Windmill weekend, for example, but
yeah, there weren't
much,
many,
so,
Put in the budget, $0.
yeah.
unless we want to get some new tchotchkes for next year.
Yeah, we might, yeah, right.
What if we built an affordable house right next to the windmill?
Well, we,
She had that idea, she's been wanting to do that.
yes,
Uh-oh,
I even looked at the property.
uh-oh.
And,
Unfortunately, it was Peter.
yeah,
Oh, you mean the one on, right across from the windmill on the north side? I
Yeah.
can't think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Depot Road, that three buildings.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I shopped it a couple of different ways and
Yeah.
you guys have a wrong price in your head.
okay. All right, anything else on the budget that was ended up being a lengthy discussion?
Well, my question was not exactly on that, but moving towards that housing plan, how do we actually literally get involved in that? I can't imagine we put that plan together in an hour a month.
No, and that's something that we need to talk about, I think, with us and with Jen and Paul and Rachel, is how do we have more inclusive discussions about that, particularly as it reflects the community housing plan. How deep do we want to go in terms of the actions? And how much beyond just hitting the, because the only goals and objectives really that are in there at the moment that are finite are related to the SHI. And they're very minimal, so they're the bare bones requirement of what the state requires. How do we make this more of a strategic plan for housing for the town? Not just responding to the minimal state requirements. And I think that's a longer conversation that we need to have and how to do that, because you're right, that, are we gonna do a workshop or gonna do some different kind of strategic planning with more people involved that You know, I think that's what we have to do.
That makes sense to me.
It,
Yeah.
it does. And I'm looking at, I'm starting to look at what some other towns, even not just in Massachusetts, but what they've done for doing that. And I think there's a lot that we can be doing for that. And maybe that's one of our main goals this year as the trust is to get that accomplished and in a much more robust way. So we'll have some conversation with Rich, Jackie, and Paul, and you about it. And what okay, and it was a Windmill weekend.
It was pretty good.
It was.
We had a great table. I was in and out. Carolyn and Elaine were there all day and had quite a few people.
Steady stream.
Good, oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's very steady. A lot of interest in ADUs, some interest in the lease to locals program. Just a lot of questions, some very specific. I still have one name I wrote down. I saw my notes yesterday. Oh, so. I kept referring people to Rachel if they need a specific help, because there were some of those, but a lot of interest in the ADUs. We ran out of the handouts that we had, make quite a few, so that's encouraging.
What do you feel like that interest is? These are homeowners interested in adding an ADU.
Yes,
Why, in their mind, do you think?
extra income, to help with housing.
Okay.
A couple were older people who liked the idea of conceptually of building an ADU that they live in and then renting their house.
Sure.
So, income wise, I think it's mostly income generated and we know there's a need for housing and we know it could be very beneficial. It was kind of.
I mean, on the one hand, what else? What other answers might there have been? But that makes sense. Yeah.
There was a guy got a piece of property and it seemed like that's empty. And he's trying to figure out what to do with it. And we're talking to him about, you can put a duplex on it and then you can do 2 ADUs off the duplexes. And
That's the one.
size kind of.
Yeah. Mine did.
Good. So, yeah, you could. And you could do that all by right. You don't have to require a special permit to do it.
And I was gonna say too, that I think maybe the change to, I don't know, if general public is aware of that, but it is by right now where it wasn't before.
That's what we kept telling you. I think some people do that, but not. We did, it was so windy, we didn't get to do, to your point about a house. What we have done is, in front of the tent, we've taken landscape paint and we painted an ADU on the ground and flagged it out. Here's the bedroom, here's the living, this is a sample. And it catches people's eye. And they're like, what are the flags? Is this? And then they can stand in it and feel it. Yeah. The first year we did, first year we did, my grandsons were there and they loved it because they acted as tour guides. Well, this is your bedroom. See this bathroom? See, I can go like this.
They're 16 now, so they're not so interested, but
And
and maybe your children.
We'll see. I got a 9-year-old that's getting too cool for school.
there you go. Yeah. So we'll enlist him next year or her.
That one's a her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she is very helpful. So
Anyway,
should be
it was
into
very good success. It was very windy. Actually, someone got hurt by a tent.
Yeah.
One of the pop-up tent things blew over. So we took turns holding our tent down.
yeah, goodness.
Yeah, next year I'm investing in sandbags.
Sandbags
Yeah.
and stakes.
We can't use stakes,
Can't.
not in the green.
Oh,
It's one of their rules.
wonder why.
I don't know if they're afraid we're gonna hit a line or something.
Probably. There might be myriad of things underground there. Yeah, but sandbags. I would have my best.
The rocks weren't cutting
The
it.
weights. Just tie down with the.
Oh, hand weights.
Handbrake. Somebody brought like
Yeah.
a weight set. I was using that to tie.
Yeah.
Something.
That worked too.
Yeah, because we have enough. Does it come from?
The town owns it. Yep. Yep, they have just purchased a couple of tents for the farmers market, so. But it's officially ended, still going on a little bit. I was able to use one of the tents.
Oh, great. It went very. And generating some interest, so it's good. The programs from your report. Programs are doing well.
Yeah, the rental assistance program is still at 15. One person was expanded to a 4th year. So that's working out well for somebody. Hopefully more. They have found that there's a need there. Emergency loan program, there aren't any current projects, and Kim and I from Hetch spoke this summer. We're gonna get together, probably over the phone and see where we can rank that up somehow. So,
I think just more outreach should be.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that.
What's the
And
nature of that program? That's I've got something my roof blew off and I need a new roof.
yeah, the housing emergency loan program provides a 0 deferred loan for 15 years for up to $25,000. So windows, roofs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that might eliminate someone from living in their own home, heating, septic.
Right.
And then this also the town is part of the block grant. And there's another emergency loan program, the same kind of thing, but this one has 75,000.
That's
person. So Hedge and the administrator, that program, if Hedge feels like somebody needs more money for their project, they will refer to each
Either
other.
one or both.
So it's not done with good things. So.
Right. Just from a P&L perspective, how do we incur? I see 27,000 in expenses on the emergency loan program last year. How do we incur expenses on that? That's because a loan has been forgiven. I mean, it's a normal loan, right? I'm going to incur the expense, but I'm also going to write down
Yeah,
Has been given.
Right.
So,
and it's the administration and the loan.
Okay. I mean, administration must be a small chunk of that,
It
right?
is.
Okay. Yeah. But basically, let's say it's $27,000. That means in the last year, we wrote off $27,000 in somebody's loans that were forgiven?
No, it's the loans that,
Or is that still money they owe us? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah.
We owed $27,000?
no,
Okay.
it's paid out for the repairs. If they live in the home for 15 years, it's forgiven. So we don't actually the only time we get it back is if that house transfers.
There you go. It makes sense, of course.
Yeah.
If I get the roof repaired for free and then sell the house,
Right.
give us our money back.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
but
Okay. So somebody took the loan in 2025
Mhm.
and we immediately just write that down as an expense.
It's-
The 27 is gone.
Yes,
If they sell the house, then we'll have 27 in income next year.
it depends on when they sell it.
right, but
Sure.
they did do.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense. I just wanted to understand the accounting there because a loan,
So
makes perfect
we
sense.
did not too much last year.
right.
Sure.
And it's a conundrum because we know that the bulk of houses in East End are 1980 and earlier, so there's a lot of houses that need the kind of work that this is available for. But we don't get a lot of takers, and
I started a conversation too with the building department as well as health and fire, because they're really the ones, not so much the building, but the fire department can be in homes a lot, as well as the health department, and sometimes the COA outreach worker does home visits. So really trying to continue those conversations with them, because really they're the eyes and ears of what's going on. Especially with the older people,
Yeah.
older population, not so much the families who are also eligible. It's not age restricted.
Okay.
Right. So trying to find ways to get it more often. I don't know. Realtors,
It probably could benefit,
the education.
to have someone get up at one of our monthly broker meetings before we do tour and enlighten people, because I don't think, I don't know that
Most people.
more than a handful would be aware of it, to be honest.
How often are the broken meetings?
Once a month. So we can have somebody come in Thursday morning, it's regionalized, so it's Orleans and Eastham.
They both have the program.
Right, and we both sell, each other's town, so,
Yeah.
but do we share the program with them?
No.
We have one, they have one.
Yes.
Right.
And is our liens managed by, sorry, and Orleans has emergency loan program of ours.
I don't know if they do. I know they have a rental assistance with that.
Okay. But are they part of the CDBG program?
Not with Eastham, I don't believe.
Okay, so maybe it's just,
Okay, well,
but it's still,
we're gonna get something with them, yeah.
did you arrange for that?
Yeah, we just had it this past Thursday, so it's 3 weeks out.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll talk to the tour chair.
That would be awesome.
Okay.
Because realtors must be at people's houses and see, you know, it needs to be a roof and it does require a deed restriction on the property. Which may or may not make it attractive to somebody.
What's the deed restriction?
For
That this has to-
it has to be 100% of the AMI.
I want to say this program, I'll have to double check the contract, but I think this one was, written up for 80%.
But are we going to amend the contract to do that? Yeah. I think we should.
I mean, I think that might require a vote at a meeting.
Yes.
I wanna-
So what I'll do is I'll put down for me to review the contract. And if it's not at 100%, I'll put that on the next agenda to be discussed and voted on to increase.
Did we just renew that contract? Or that we just?
No, we're going to extend it till June. Because they ended in I think March and April, wrap and help. And we're just extending it to June. Till my end. No, I've got to do the 1-page contract for that.
Okay, let's consider doing the AMI up to 100%.
I'll double check, but yes.
Okay.
I'd like to just fully understand that too. So I'll just make myself an example. My roof blows off. I want to get this, I want to take advantage of this loan program. I come and apply. I'm approved. I'm going to get a $25,000 loan
Up
to, that's what my roof cost, it turns out, to replace the roof. And now I'm going to sign a contract that says if I sell the house in certain time, I have to pay back some chunk of this loan and also accept a deed restriction on my house that says I can only sell this house to someone who can prove 80% or 100% of AMI.
Yes. It's in, no. Or you have to pay the loan back. It's a 15.
Oh, okay. Pay the loan back
It's not.
or live with the deed restriction.
You.
Okay. Okay.
80 or 100%. When you're in the home, so it's my home.
I just want to hear you. Wait, so I have to qualify at that.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I got $10 million in the bank. I'm making a ton of money. I don't get this loan.
And you're on Social Security and, okay,
Okay.
and you get the loan up to 25,000, 15-year forgivable.
Mhm.
Okay. If you decide to sell the home, pass away, just decide to move, whatever, prorated, whatever is remaining on that $25,000 loan gets be paid out of the proceeds, and the restriction goes away.
Okay.
Okay, so somebody could fix up their home and a year later, in anticipation of selling it, they then could sell it, they qualify. But they're gonna sell the house. Then they have to pay out of the proceeds of the sale, the rest of the loan.
Right.
So
We're not just giving you money so that you can sell your house for more money. That's not the purpose here.
And it's a way to do two things. It's a way to, for the current owner, to make the house more habitable and assuming their income limited, be able to just do it because otherwise they'd be not able
Sure.
to. And also it helps maximize their return because they're gonna get more for the property if it's fixed up
Right.
than if it's not fixed up. They just have, assuming that they've had the property for a while, it's appreciated enough that they can repay the loan. When they sell the property.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
and what I'm just going to say for total clarity, if they were to sell the home, but sell it to someone who's qualified for 80% of AMI, then the loan could still be forgiven?
No,
No, okay, I misunderstood. Then I just
No.
totally misunderstood that, and that's fine.
that's not.
When you sell the home, the loan's going to get repaid. in the prorated terms. Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
homeowner has to qualify.
I misunderstood from the very beginning, and that's why I looked confused and had all these
And it's.
looks on my face.
Because of CPA requirements, what it's for is major things, roofs, windows.
Yeah.
Septic, which is a big thing.
My flower box blew off the window is not.
Right.
But those are often really critical.
Sure. It's, yes.
So you're gonna arrange for us to, Rachel, maybe to come and talk, or maybe someone can get thoughts on us. Yes,
Thank you for the
that'd
clarity.
be awesome, thank you. Yeah. All right. Back to the agenda. Rachel, what else are you running out of?
Also, read up on.
Yeah, we can have a meeting about it. I'm happy to go over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we could bring some handout to us.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, to locals.
Okay, so
Good.
yeah, so we have a lease to locals now that has launched. It's a town program at this point. And it's town funded. We launched August 11th. And have had, from about a week ago, we had 23 inquiries. We partnered with Orleans. So of those 23, 15 of them are for Eastham. I don't know if you're familiar with the program. If not, I can do a quick rundown.
This one I know more about the base logistics of.
The basic logistic is homeowners who either aren't using their home year round and want to rent it. Hasn't been rented in the past year, or they have a short-term rental, or just any homeowner who has some type of unit, ADU on their property that they're not renting. We're targeting homeowners to convert to a unit to a year-round rental, regardless of income. Except it's a very high income limit. It's 250% of the CPA's AMI.
I did this actually with the what's the HAC's Rent 365 back in like 2019.
Okay.
It was a similar program.
Yeah, and so there's a stipend that goes along with that. We're using a company called Placemate, and they qualify the tenants and how many qualified tenants there are. And the maximum for three person or 3-bedroom, or 4-bedroom, I don't know how many of those there are, is $15,000. So it depends on qualified household and the size of the unit.
Do you think that would be something that the broker, making the brokers would be interested in hearing about?
Yeah, I mean, academically, yes, as part of what we do, probably not gonna come up that much as far as, you wouldn't, I mean, unfortunately, at the barrier to entry on a rent, to buy something to rent, that's not gonna do it for somebody who's purchasing a place.
Yeah, I was gonna say from an investor perspective, I'm very interested in this, but if I'm buying, the economics just don't work on buying a place that I really want.
Your home, and you've owned it for 25 years, and you're sick of seasonal vacation rentals, then it could be, I mean, I see the merit of the program.
That has come up actually.
Yeah, that's it. If the realtor's there trying to get somebody to buy their services, they could say, hey, you could do this program instead, but now I'm giving up my sale. So
right.
There's a
Yeah, I actually did talk to another realtor who said, that they had a couple of people who were kind of tired of renting during the summer rental,
Right.
hard to find cleaners every week, all of that logistics. So they were thinking about doing it year round.
Now, I mean, sort of back when I converted mine, there was a time that I had a house here that I would use a little bit, and then that became a house I was not going to use a little bit. So I did the HAC program, which is only $1,000 back then, but it's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it anyway. I will say for a house like that, that's a normal house over by the elementary school. It's not beachfront or anything like that. And for a house like that, I am convinced that as an investor, you do better as a year-round landlord than you do as a seasonal landlord. And maybe there's something we can put together that kind of just runs people through that math and says, here's what it's like to be a seasonal landlord, income expenses. Here's what it's like to be a year-round rent landlord, income expenses. The challenge is if somebody wants to use the house July 4th weekend, that's it. It's not a year-round rental anymore. But for anybody with a different mindset than that, you can do better as a year-round landlord. And I'm not sure people get that. I think they think I can get rich with the summer economy. And I don't think it's true.
Yeah, not anymore.
And Placemate has put together some of those.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To use to talk to people.
Yeah, great.
Let's do a time check.
It's 10.
It's getting close to 10, and then you both have commitments.
I'm okay. We started 5 minutes late, so I'm okay right now. I have an 11 o'clock. I'm in good shape.
Rachel, on the 107 Main Street and FAR.
Yeah.
Can we find out how many Eastham people were placed in either of those?
Yeah, I don't know that, the answer is yes and no. They haven't been rented up yet fully, so I think probably after that,
Yes.
absolutely.
Has FAR been rented fully yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I don't, yes, it's on its way if it's not, but it may be,
People living there now.
yes,
And call
fair.
fair.
Where's that?
That's the.
Is that the West Road one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I heard that's what it was. They were in King's Landing for 12 years with 3 kids.
Wow.
And they got 1 3 bedrooms there,
Oh,
which
that's
is over.
great.
Oh, wow.
Actually,
That's
absolutely
Of
over.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Fair.
Fair.
Yeah. And she loves it. Says it's fantastic.
Yeah, good. It looks
Oh,
nice.
that's
That's good. Okay, that would be good. Okay. Anything else, Richard, that we have to pay attention to?
See, I did, not on there, I did think of it afterwards, just want to let you all know that internally, the team is meeting and we're going to be meeting regularly with the passing of wastewater to kind of see what the next steps are for the other properties, Townsend Plaza, Tea Time. And be looking up what's next with that.
Right. It is, have they started to have strategic discussions about programs that we could do that would encourage redevelopment in the area, not necessarily just Townsend Plaza and Tea Time, but townhomes, but other areas now that we've done the new zoning. I was just wondering whether we are starting to have discussion about how to encourage redevelopment in those areas. With financial support to help incentives to make it.
There's been no discussion on financial incentives at this point, but I think that's, maybe a bigger discussion in fall. Kind of that whole area.
And there was a program, I'm part of why I was asking about it, is there's a program I was looking at in a number of years,
Virginia.
the Virginia Beach and Richmond program, where they do tax abatements. And if you do a redevelopment project that includes affordable housing, then your taxes are frozen for a period of years at the initial assessment. And so you're building property, normally your taxes are going to go up, because the assessment is going to go up. But they freeze it as a way to incentivize the housing component of the redevelopment. It's an interesting idea. Doesn't require the town to put out any money.
Right.
It just adds a
Brings in future tax revenue.
future tax revenue that may or may not.
For a length of time.
For a length of time, and it decreases over a period of time. I don't know the exact specifics of it. I have some information from the newspaper about what it looks like. I calls into the people to talk to.
Is that for smaller, like
It can
under
be more
six?
small.
Bigger small?
They've done it for both. It could be somebody who wants to have 3 units over a shop. Like Mercantile.
Yeah.
Mercantile Way, whatever that's called.
Main Street Market.
Maybe
I'll
that's what they're
think about that.
If like someone wanted to redevelop one, there was a few units above. Then that'd be pretty cool. Or it can be big, like what might happen at Tea Time or Town Center.
Yeah. So
So
that's a finance director.
yes, exactly. So, but I would.
It's interesting,
That's a
though.
kind of discussion I think we need to start to be party to. So, yeah. Okay. Okay.
There is on my report, the Lower Creek Housing Institute is starting their new workshops cycle, so if you sign up for those on the website, even if you can't make it, you can receive the information from them. You can also access the videos on the meetings, on the workshops rather.
Um, I think, to summarize what I think we talked about a little bit is need to be able to approve a budget for fiscal year 26 that includes both housing program components and the property management components. We need to start to plan out the housing production plan timeline and schedule. Be thinking about how we might accomplish that, targeting it for approval in September. You're working on the contract extension, the adult program and the RAP program, and looking at extending that up to 100%. Jeff's going to arrange for discussion of the and upcoming board meeting about the health program. Okay. And then we need to tee up some strategic discussion about the whole new zoning and how we can influence getting more housing into all of those components. So, anything else that
I just wanted to flag, I think I sent a note to you about this a while ago, but the eastham.housinghelp.org website has been down for a while. And I don't know.
The Eastham Housing Help, that has been ended,
Okay,
for lack of a better word.
well then
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
As long as we know and have chosen this, that's fine. It's, I don't, I just don't like IT surprises.
does it redirect people somewhere?
No, the domain is no longer registered. It just doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Is it, where can people find all that information?
On the town website. Under housing.
Okay, so we just need to ask.
I can ask Kayla if it can be redirected.
Well, that is certainly possible to do. You'd have to re-register the domain and pay the money to do that and fire it all up again. It's possible that whoever is in charge of this, saw the metrics, understood that nobody's coming through this path and it's not worth maintaining. I'm willing to assume that happened. I just wanted to flag it in case.
Was it getting much use?
No, and I think that's why, this was a while back, I want to say at least a year or so ago that, it was decided to stop being here.
There you go. Then it probably had the rest of its year of domain registration paid for, and then that came to an end.
And then in here, two other quick things, and then because I know Jeff needs to go. In your report, you talked about stuffers and tax bills,
Yes,
and that's another outreach effort for the health program. And at least local program in the ADUs to get a little sheet.
yes, so if I can put that on our next agenda to discuss.
Yes.
Because there would need to be a vote taken on that and the logistics, and there's a cost associated with that.
Okay. And you had sent us the CDP's report on year-round housing deed restrictions.
Yes,
Oh, so that's who crafted this?
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
yeah, their planning group was their consultant.
okay.
I read it twice. I still couldn't figure out what it was trying to tell us. Could we ask somebody from CDP to come and talk to us next time?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
Is it saying we should do it? We shouldn't do it?
I was going to flag kind of the same thing and say I'd really like to dive. This is a very interesting topic to me, and
yeah,
I'd like to dive deeper into it. So maybe putting it on our agenda to do that somehow next month would be valuable.
yeah, we may have to spread out some agenda items. Yeah.
Or do we want to schedule, I mean, we do have a number of things the next meeting. Do we want to make it a somewhat longer meeting? I don't know how that's fits for the book schedule.
As long as I know about it, it's okay. Sure.
Yeah, and let me look what, I'll do it, I can start a draft agenda beforehand and see what that's gonna look like and we're gonna discuss what we want to move
Particularly
around.
if someone come to discuss this.
Yeah.
Because that's a.
And over time, I'll have fewer basic questions about the existing programs too.
Yeah.
So that'll shrink things.
You can always come talk to him.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Good
Why
point.
don't we tentatively say the next meeting will go at least until 10:30?
Okay,
Let's
that's
do
fine.
that in advance.
15,000 per year in general administrative costs. Oof, that seems like a lot of administration,
Yeah,
deed restriction.
yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if you're getting a lot of customers, you know, but that's gonna carry a lot of costs too.
Yeah, that's not per unit, that's for the program.
Yeah. That's the whole program. I'm just saying, if you're getting 100 applicants, okay, fine.
Okay, all right.
But meanwhile, if you're getting 100 applicants and paying them all $150,000, like, whoop, that's a lot of money.
Oh, okay, so there's per unit administration fees one, all right, I see, I read that. I assumed that, I was reading that per unit, that
Right,
seems a little heavy.
and can that be spread over multiple towns? The administration. Is it per town or per program? If 2 or 3 towns went together to do program? Is it still that amount of money?
Yeah. The thing that stood out for me that I would flag is there was this comment in here about how most programs act as a buy down for home buyers and few work with existing homeowners. I would think that would be a miss for us for all the reasons
Right.
that we were discussing before, right? If I'm coming in here to buy a $1.2 million house, it's not so that I can deed restrict it and make it housing. Meanwhile, if I've got a house I paid $700,000 for and now it's worth $1 million, you could maybe talk me into deed restricting that for the right amount of money.
Exactly.
If my takeaway was, but I wasn't sure, was that they weren't necessarily recommending the
Right.
deed restriction program.
But
But it would be good to
Yeah,
have the
because
conversation.
so many of the. When you look at the. On page, and then on the page numbers, but the regional considerations and the programs that are existing, how they compare to us are fairly different.
yes,
And so are there programs that are in localities that are more similar demographically?
possibly. Yeah.
Economically, because I don't know.
I will say I will be first in line for this program if we get it going. If I can qualify. So like it makes that kind of sense to me.
Right.
But does it make
So let's
sense
see if-
to our goals?
Yeah.
That is knowledgeable about this, whether it's Jay or somebody else.
I think it's Andrea was working on that, so I'll talk to her and see what she recommends.
Okay. All right. And anything else for the good of the group? For discussion? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So I'm also.
I'll second it.